daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
What the? It's soccer. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Newcastle podcast. Michael Grahamslaw here, if you couldn't tell. And I'm joined today by Kevin, Esther, and Joanne. Ayres. Now, we'll start off, well, obviously, we're going to talk about the heart-wrenching 3-2 defeat to Liverpool. 24 hours on, how are you feeling, Joe?
A lot more mentally stable than I was yesterday. As you all know, come on, I went off on one in the group chat. I went off on one in the group chat with everybody in it, much to everyone's delight. But obviously it was highly emotionally charged when being wound up. So I was like biting like so easy. I was just dishing it out and I'm like, bite.
Very easy.
Yeah, of course. But come on. I mean, I even said it when the second goal went in. I was like, why? Why have they got to give us hope like this? And we're laughing about it, obviously, because it had happened and we thought it was great. But I'll be honest, and I said it after the match and I'll say it again, I think I would have rather lost the 2-1 than lose the 3-2. Because that third goal going in, man, it was like a sucker punch that the whole stadium just went, because it was at a high and it just went like that. To watch 50,000 people collectively do that, it literally was like everyone literally got sucker punched at the same time. So yeah, of course it was emotional. But isn't that the tune roller coaster that we all love? But last night was something that I think it's been a while since it's been that erratic, up down, and then unfortunately finished on a down. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about you, Kev? You are our beacon of positivity. So how are you feeling?
It was the most beautifully cruel way to ever lose a football game, I think. To be honest, you know what? I'm very lucky to be a season ticket holder. I've been for a lot of years, and a lot of the times I don't leave early. I'll kind of start walking down the steps as there's 30 seconds left, and when the whistle goes, straight out and in the car and home. Yesterday, I stayed in my seat the whole time, clapped them off. It was just... I feel so happy. It's so weird, like we lost the game, but it's how many teams, how many cities, the atmosphere was feral. We were down to 10 men. We were 2-0 down. We were without Isak because he's on strike. Gordon's been sent off, our makeshift striker, and we still get back to 2-2. A Suda off the bench and a big Dan Burn flick on, going back to the 90s. It was... Everything about it was beautiful, but it was just the cruelest form of, the cruelest way to lose a game. And it's always Liverpool, the 4-3, the Collymore, the 4-3 the season after that one, the 3-2 again, Liverpool. But hey, we won the one that mattered. We won the Carabao Cup, let's be honest. So, yeah, it was amazing to be a part of. And I'm so proud of the players and so proud to be a Newcastle fan. I just think it's one of them things, isn't it? There's no justice in football, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those, we had the banner a few years back. We don't demand a team that wins. We demand a team that tries. And literally there is not a player that could have gave 0.1% more out there at the weekend. Well, yesterday on Monday. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic game. But I did want to get your thoughts on a few primary talking points. Me and Ian kind of touched on them yesterday, but I've had a bit more chance to look at them today than I did yesterday because, like you, Joe, I was doing this while steaming, which wasn't great.
No.
A few things I said where I woke up this morning and went, why the hell did you say that? But it happens. But the first of which comes 8 minutes in. Ryan Gravenberch's scissor tackle on Bruno Guimaraes. It's around the knee. It's high, but it's dangerous. But apparently a lack of force was the justification for no red card. Referee gave a yellow. What do you think, Kev? Was it the right decision, or should Liverpool's first goal scorer not have even been on the pitch?
I mean, it is. I don't know on this one. It's so it's like an orange card for me. I think it's not the lack of force. I think it's like a lack of contact. Like Bruno sees it coming and kind of turns, and he knows it's coming, so he moves so he's not seriously hurt, thankfully.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, why is he scissoring in like that? It is a little bit reckless. So, to be honest, if it was given as a red, I don't think there would have been a ridiculous amount of complaints. And if it was a yellow, we'd be saying it might be a red, but maybe yellow is fair. So it's one of them. It can go either way. I think the referee, as much as I would love to come on here and slate him, probably got that right. And I think he got it right because the atmosphere was feral. It was a big game. There was a lot of talk before the game. It was going to be really hard to referee that game no matter what. And I dislike Hooper anyway, but I don't think he was as terrible as maybe some of the Newcastle fans around me thought he was. I think at the time and the emotion, it's easy to get caught up. I think it was definitely a yellow, but I think a red might have been a bit too harsh. We can't take contact and tackles like that out of the game too much because it is a contact sport. You are going to get hurt, unfortunately. Joe Linton and Tonali got hurt for us. But yeah, it's a tough one. Orange card for me, I think probably a yellow's fair. Was he given a yellow?
Yeah, he was given a yellow.
Yeah, I think it's probably right. I think the occasion, again, I know it doesn't matter whether you hit him early on or hit him late on, but it's early. You don't really want to ruin the game as a referee. The atmosphere is feral as it is. Yeah, he probably got it right, I think, as much as I hate to see it.
Yeah, to be honest, you've said everything that I had written down. Proverbial orange card. If it's given, it isn't overturned. And the only bit I added was if it happens 10 minutes later, I think he probably gives a red. But it's just so early in the game.
Yeah,
he
pretty much bang on. That's exactly. Hey, it's almost like we know what we're talking about, Michael.
What do you think, Joe?
To be fair, that was the bit I was going to add in, that if it was later in the game, that I think that would have been a different decision. At the end of the day, when you do watch it back, because again, I've got to take into perspective at the time, I am at the back level of level 7. So I'm like, as high as you're going to be unless I literally want to sit on the roof. So like the angle I'm going at anyway, again, which is why I went off in the chat without actually being reasonable about the red card as well for Gordon. You take on what you first seen from up there. I'll be honest, it looked bad, but it didn't necessarily look like a red card. I ironically think it was probably more of a red card when I watch it back and see that 2 feet are off the ground. And it is a scissor tackle. And like we just said, had it been later in the game, which really shouldn't come into play, it should either be a red or it's not in the grand scheme. But backing up everything you've said, I think maybe the referee not bottled it, but it was taking the whole occasion into it, wasn't it? And I've got to be honest with you, by the way, I'm not one of the Newcastle fans that think Hooper, even though I don't like him, I don't think he had a stinker, because ironically, a good 20-ish minutes in, I distinctly remember turning to one of my mates and being like, actually, the ref's being kind of fair here. We're getting a decent amount of free kicks. He was being fair. So he started off well. I think he came out worse in the second half. So, people were like, he's been paid off in the tunnel in the half time. But it's one of those, isn't it? But I think we got more out of Hooper than I expected to prior to the game, because again, not a huge fan of him. But if we're looking at that one specifically, at the time, obviously everyone's shouting for a red card, but we didn't continue to kick off after he wasn't given one, put that way.
Yeah. The only thing, I'll jump in quickly. The only thing I was massively bothered about with Hooper was the Shaw incident, because obviously he's come out, he's got concussion, so he'll miss the Leeds game. But what's frustrating is Alisson, the Liverpool goalkeeper, is telling Liverpool to stop. He's telling the linesman, he's telling the referee.
He's the one going mental,
He's like, look, it's a head injury here. You need to stop. So fair play to Alisson for trying to get the referee's attention and the linesman's attention. And he played on. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. Everybody knows the protocol is head injury. You stop. I know Liverpool's on the counter and he could be pretending, because we see a lot of players pretend to hold the head. But in that situation, the opposition goalkeeper is saying, look, you need some attention here. He's been smashed. That's the only kind of problem I had with Hooper throughout the whole game. I think it's very hard to referee at St James's Park when the atmosphere is like that. So
I think the crowd turned on him though, Kev. If you remember, the whole crowd started singing "You're not fit to referee" at that point. So that was I think it was a bit of a turning point as well with how everyone felt about how he was doing. But Cher looked out for the count. He didn't just look like he was going. Oh, he was on his side, no moving, and that's when Alisson's doing this. Come on.
That's the only thing I had an issue with Hooper, really, and I know we're not talking about Hooper too much, but I think that was kind of. But again, it's hard for refs, because how many players go down holding their head, thinking I'm going to get a referee to stop the game here? Exactly. Yeah. So it is tough. I'm not slating them, but that was the only thing for me where I thought that was bad. The rest of it was, like you said, probably fair and 50-50.
Yeah, I have to say as well, you mentioned Alisson there in a positive light, and I do have another thing to say about him actually. At the end, when Bruno Guimaraes is kicking off after he's headbutted the ball and slammed it down 5 times, he's there and he's kicking off, I think it's against Gravenberch, and Alisson is the one that comes over and calms him down and says, look, it's not worth it, there's a couple of minutes left, you don't want to get suspended. And it's none of our players are doing that. It's actually the Liverpool goalkeeper that ends up calming him down.
Can we sign Alisson before we end the window?
We're going to have 3 goalkeepers, why not? We had Spain last season.
Yeah.
Him up front, he's great with his feet.
Exactly. But I assume we're all in agreement that the Anthony Gordon red card is a red card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Silly boy.
Joe?
I agree more now than I did at the time, obviously. I was having none of it at the time. But again, look, I'll hold my hands up, and I have in the group chat since. Like, when you have a few drinks and you're that far up in the sky, you're not going to see anything clearly, are you? But yeah, so of course at the time I was just like, no, because I'll be honest, from the exact angle and height I'm sitting at, it looked like it went in, but it looked like he tried to pull out the last second. So that's why I think everyone, especially up in level 7, were kicking off a lot, because to us it looked like it pulled out. So we didn't until we went down for half-time pints, and we're looking, we're like, hang on. Like, his studs have went right down the back of the leg. But I mean, Gordon was very apologetic. There was apologies to Van Dijk, whatever, at the time, because I don't know, did he really mean it as viciously as it looked? I know he did end up going down the back of his leg, but I don't know. Look, it's done. It's a red card, and he's out for 3 games, and that's actually was my biggest thing, because I turned around one of my mates, I was like, the actual knock-on effect here is the next bloody 3 games, and I mean this one as well, you know what I mean? So, But anyway, yeah.
I won't defend Gordon, because I think he is a bit silly. He needs to be a lot cleverer. He'll be the first to admit that as well, so I'm not going to come on here and say him. But I think the frustrating part for me is, I think if I could get inside of his head, which I would try and do and probably massively fail, but I'll see what other people think and get hammered. I think he missed the League Cup final. He's a Liverpool fan. Everyone was saying, he's being suspended on purpose. Why is he acted out at Van Hecker or whatever? And I think that was in his head, like, I'm gonna prove a point here, because he started off amazing. He was getting on the end of headers. He was busting a gut. He was battling Konate. He did some weird karate flick first touch. I thought he's well up for this. I also think the previous time before that, he had a bit of a stinker. I think the time before that is the game he scored or assisted, but the one before the sending off was a bit of a stinker, and everyone was like, did he even want to run against Liverpool? The game at Anfield, he wasn't great, and I think that was in his head, and he was trying way too hard to impress him, and the atmosphere was feral. It's got him riled up. He's thought, I'm going to make a statement, I'm going to get the energy up, and he's thought, what have I done? I've just went down the back of his calf. So I'm not defending Gordon. I don't think it was out of maliciousness, or I don't think it was out of wanting to be sent off against his team support, which I've seen some stupid fans say. I think it was just a genuine desperation to actually do well against Liverpool. So yeah, it's frustrating. He's a silly boy. You should learn from it. But I mean, it still gave us one of the most beautiful comebacks until we lost ever.
Yeah, there's that small caveat at the end. But I think Anthony Gordon's one of the most emotional players I think I've seen on the pitch for Newcastle. And at times you love him for it, but obviously in that situation you are thinking, you silly, silly little boy. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to our first advert of the episode, and then we'll talk a little bit more. There'll be one more controversial decision, and then we'll go into a bit more from the game itself.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements, designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels, to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Now, moving into the game, I think the lineup was pretty much as we expected. Starting 11. Ian and I both said yesterday we would have kind of liked to have had something a little bit different, but you cannot blame Howard Hall for keeping that same 11 after such a great display at Villa Park. So I don't want to talk about the starting 11. I want to talk about the substitutes bench. I don't know about both of you, but when I was looking at the start of the game, I was looking at our bench, comparing it to Liverpool's, and thinking that is the strongest bench Newcastle have had in a very, very long time, except from, that one obvious position. But what do you think going into the season, if we can fix that obvious one position, do you think we're in actually a pretty decent position in regards to squad depth? What do you think, Joe?
I think we've covered this in some of the other pods, haven't we, really, that the whole Isak situation has overlooked the fact that we really haven't had that bad of a summer. We have strengthened in areas that we've said we've needed strengthening in the defence, the midfield, and the goalkeeper. We've got Alanga on the right. All of these are upgrades in the positions that were asked for and from players that we've lost. So, as I say, this whole mess in the Isak saga, which will be resolved one way or another within the next week, it's just what happens, isn't it? It's what happens next with that side of things. So we need to find a solution. Asula's got to start, by the way, up front against Leeds. In fact, he's got to start for the next 3 games now, surely, with Bonds on the left. But I don't know. Like, do we bring someone else in and Asula isn't starting and he feels pushed out again, bless him? But no, in general, you were bang on there with the bench itself. To look at it, it's, we had Chow on there, we had Botman, we had Ramsey. I was very impressed with the bench. So no, I am happy that the big saga taken out of it. I am happy with the summer overall.
What about you, Kev? Feel the same?
Yeah, I've been one of the rare, not on this pod, well, actually, when I'm on with Joe, it is. I've been on with Joe a lot. And I've been the one saying, look, this summer's actually good. It's very promising. We've made some very good signings. It's that obvious thing, isn't it? The Isak saga, the no striker. We missed the striker against Villa. And we missed the striker, especially in the first half an hour against Liverpool. Was balls flying across the box. I mean, even a Wilson, who I think, again, I'll very briefly say this because I agree with what Joe said, so I'll kind of go off topic and throw Michael off a little bit. I think the Isak saga, he hates us now. The Isak saga, for me, I think he's just talking a whole lot of rubbish, because why would the club put you in the advertising thing with Tino Asprilla for the new kit if you told them you wanted to leave and you would definitely go no matter what? Why would we let Callum Wilson go on a free when we know you're definitely going no matter what? A lot has happened over the last 3-4 months at the club where you think, well, if the club knew you would definitely, you might have said you want to leave, or if a bid comes in, I'd like to go. But there's no way that the club definitely know that you weren't ever going to play for them again and go on strike, because they spent a fortune on the kit promo with you mainly and Tino Asprilla. They let Callum Wilson go thinking that you would at least be there if they didn't get somebody in straight away. So yeah, I think you're talking a lot of rubbish. But I think just to go back to the summer, I think it's been I actually think it's been a very, very good summer. I think Ramsdale could be a big upgrade on Pope if he gets an opportunity and comes in, especially with his feet. I mean, Pope again couldn't do much for the goals, but Jesus, with his feet, how are you a professional footballer, have a ball at your feet every day and boot the ball out of play so much? I think Chow looked promising. Ramsey, I really liked how direct he was. He's almost like a Willock regen. I feel a bit sorry for Willock.
Yeah,
because
it's great.
What happens now? Because Ramsey looks like he can pretty much do his job. But Willock's there for the depth, and I think Alanga's got a lot of talent. It's just he's going to take a while to get used to how we play, but yeah, it's been good. We need a striker. That's no denying that. Anybody, blind man, his dog can see that, can't we? So let's get a striker in over next week and we'll be happy, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look at the performance of Hugo Eketike, I don't know if either of you watched the game against Bournemouth where they beat them 4-2, but I think based off what we've seen from in the first 2 games, I think it's very clear to see why. Well, do you both think it's clear to see why Newcastle viewed him as the ideal Isak replacement?
Oh God, yeah.
Why couldn't he just be a flop? I hate how good he is. Even against us, I know he didn't have his best game against us compared to Bournemouth, but like he was physical, he was mixing it with Burn, and I love that. I love that about him. I was watching it and I hated it because I thought you would be perfect for us, you numpty. Like you could have come to us, Liverpool could have had Isak, and you could have been the number 9, and you're putting yourself about. You've got a bit of class. It was a lovely finish, even though there was a bit of fortune in there to kind of fall back to Gakpo to lay it off to him, but you took it so calm. He was even respectful when he scored against us. He ran over to the Liverpool fans, boom, a kiss him, and turned his back on the fans. I was like, you could have given that big there because we've give you a little bit of stick. And he was very respectful there. So he's clearly got a good character, and he's quite respectful. Imagine having a striker who's respectful with good character. So yeah, look, Eketike looks like a real deal. Unfortunately, I'd love to come on here and say, "Oh, we dodged a bullet," but I would love him at Newcastle. Sorry.
Yeah. I have to say, when we were linked with him, I said I don't think he'd be a good fit for us. I think, but one of those where he's too greedy, in my opinion. All of those sort of statistics that I've looked at and gone, right, definitely, it backs up what I'm seeing. Wasn't great against Spurs. I've looked at all those and gone, yeah, you know what? Definitely not our kind of player. I've seen him play against Liverpool and he's doing none of that. For Liverpool, sorry, and he's doing none of that. So it's one of those where clearly it's just what Frankfurt needed him to do. Liverpool are having him play a completely different style, and he's doing fantastically. But yeah, do you agree, Joe? It's hard to praise an opposition player, but
no, it's fine. Yeah, look, I said I had nothing against the kid anyway. I think me and Ian did a pod.
It's harder for Joel than us.
Look, I'm feeling a lot better today, man. It's fine. I've got it out my system eventually. It's amazing what 24 hours can do. But no, seriously, like you can't slag the lad, and I didn't want to slag the lad even when we're trying to get him, because even when he turned us down for PSG, I mentioned it at the time. You're going to turn down playing with the likes of Messi and that as a young lad, he was 19 or something at the time. Yeah. You're not going to. It's just as simple as that. If you look at it with a level head, which I'm now looking at things with, no, I've got no issues with Eketike. I'm obviously a bit mad that he scored against her, but so did two other people, so that's fine.
How about Liverpool? Give us 20 million in Eketike, and we'll accept.
Yes, yeah. Because I want Isak gone. It's 100%. I would take that. In fact, I want Isak gone so much I'd take a straight swap.
Eketike is not going to be happy if Isak comes in and gets his place when he started with like 3 goals in 3 games. So is Isak going to start on the bench?
Play out left. The saying he'll play out left is with argument. When you put stuff on social media and they're like, "Oh, what you talking about, man? Eketike will be out left." I'm like, maybe he won't want to play out left. Exactly.
But even then, Cody Gakpo's been one of their best players at the start of the season, and you're kicking him out. And don't be wrong, depth. I know that's the main thing, but they're not going to want to, not start games. And if Isak does end up going, it's a really big conundrum for Liverpool, especially with their back line, which I'm not going to lie, if you can't handle William Asula, I can't wait until Erling Haaland plays against you. And nothing against Asula, but, he came on and he looked very good against particularly Canade. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those where I think they'll definitely struggle defensively this season. But from Newcastle's side of things, defensively, we were pretty decent. I would say, I don't know if you all agree, but I've heard a few things today that Pope should have maybe done better for one of the goals. He stands still for all three, to be honest. The last one. So basically, you see the gap. And
it comes shooting across. I don't think
it is there. I mean, I think what people are saying is that it's not straight at him, but he doesn't move for any of the 3 goals. Now, I think they're just fantastic finishes.
I think I'm not blaming Pope. I can't.
Would you say any of them were avoidable, as most people would say?
Well, the first one bobbles through like a few players, doesn't it? Really. And it's literally on the ground in the bottom corner. So, no, I don't think he's going to get down quick enough. What the hell? The second? Oh, no, I don't think the second one. No, I don't.
It's a
not
good
the way
strike.
It was flicked off Eketike in. There was too much power in the shot. And I genuinely don't think... I've tried to not watch too many highlights again, just being too emotional about the whole thing. I haven't watched all the highlights, but I have watched the goals back. And no, the last goal, look, at the end of the day, it was a very well put together goal. The passing movement between about 4 or 5 players prior to it being put away by the kid was great. So no, I'm not going to blame, even though I know some people are, I'm not going to blame Pope. Just saying.
I think
you agree with that?
I think the first one's impossible. I think if any ball goes in off the post, even if he dives, is he really going to get it? The second one, I think you've got to give Eketike a lot of credit. He stayed so calm to just slot it in kind of outside. I think Pope was maybe thinking he's obviously going to go across us like most strikers do. Very clever finish. I think the third one, the thing which catches Pope out is the dummy. You think of a goalkeeper's footwork. He's in the right position. He's about to dive. He's about to go left. Slazzaby, I can't see his name. He dummies it. He then adjusts to get back across towards his near post. And by the time he's set again, it's such a pure strike from Rio that I just think it's very harsh to blame a keeper. When you look at the technical 100%. Aspects of the footwork and of being a goalkeeper and your body weight and your hand, it's difficult. I think it's harsh. Like I say, the only kind of issue I have with Pope is with his feet. I think he's a shot stopper. He's one of the best in the league. He can't play with his feet.
He pretty much set up Asula's goal, man. What are you talking about? It was unreal. It's the best kick I've ever seen him do in his life. Yeah. Couldn't quite believe he'd done it, quite frankly, but yeah.
I'll give him a pre-assist. Dan Byrne gets the assist.
Give him something.
Yeah. Canade should get the assist, really. He spends more time doing that. His little superhero impression, holding back Dan Byrne. Ball hits him on the back and he doesn't even know it.
Well, who was the guy that his arms around Joe Linton in the box as well? I saw that after
Gravenberch. Yeah, Gravenberch.
That's him again, you see. That's another thing that I'm saying about Big Joe.
If that's the way around, I'm telling you, we're at least looking at it.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
It wasn't even looked at, which is mental.
That's the problem. And that's where there's no consistency, is there really?
Yeah. Considering Man United got a penalty for very similar against Fulham, It was one of the controversial decisions I had wrote down, but I thought we could do a whole pod on it. As I only got through 2 out of the 6 I had written down in the first 10 minutes. But yeah, there was that. The Bruno yellow potentially getting his second yellow. Kanate, the second yellow potentially on Harvey Barnes, where he pushes Barnes in the back when he goes through. Yeah. So it's one of those where, just to sort of elaborate, Ibrahima Konate does shove Barnes to the ground. It's not dissimilar to what Conceded to Gordon, etc. But the reason that wasn't given is VAR cannot intervene for a second yellow card.
That's nice.
So if it was a penalty, if it was in the box, VAR probably would have gave it. But because they can't intervene for a second yellow card, they could only... Well, they just basically go with what Simon Hooper said. So yeah, that's a difficult one to take for me. I understand the Gravenberg one a little bit more. But yeah, there's a lot of decisions in the game that could have gone either way. But I'm going to put that behind us. We're going to stop talking about this particular match unless anyone has anything in addition to add.
It was unbelievable. Just well done. I know it sounds stupid, but well done, Newcastle. Like that
we were outstanding.
We lost, right? We lost, but my goodness gracious me, were we not entertained?
We were.
Perfect. Eddie Howe's entertain us. We're going to have Joe entertain us with the Zencaster advert.
Cool. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencaster came out the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast, it sounds great, and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencaster.
So that's that.
That's that.
Newcastle have travelled to Villa Park and hosted Liverpool and picked up just 1 point, when it feels like we probably could have had 6 out of 6 if a certain Swede wasn't being such a turnip. But
I love that.
Overall, are you happy with Newcastle's start of the campaign, Joe?
I am, to be fair. Look, we have performed brilliantly in both games. It's very, very clear and evident as to what the problem we've got is. You've got to hope that we're going to get that resolved in one way or another, but this next week is going to be very interesting as a result. But yeah, come on, nobody can moan. We can have a lot of moans about Monday night, but we can't moan about the performance from the players, the passion that they put in. Not. We could literally, like Kev said, we could not have asked anything more of any one of them. And if I'm honest, Villa was just a frustrating one because, again, we had Villa and it was just that kind of lack of firepower. That game was ours. So technically Liverpool was ours because, in a way, if it wasn't for Liverpool being Liverpool and they just find a way to win, just like they did against Bournemouth, because Bournemouth really, I remember feeling sorry for Bournemouth because I watched that game and I thought, Bournemouth deserved something out of that match just like we did, but Liverpool, being the champions that they are, they always find a way. But no, going back to us, that's enough about them. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm obviously getting salty again. So it's fine. But no, going back to us, we've been mint. I'm absolutely more than happy for how this season started, apart from the lack of points. But based on what we've seen so far, it could be a very exciting season.
Do you agree, Kev?
Yeah, I'm not unhappy with the point situation. I'm frustrated, as probably Eddie Howe and the players will be, but performance-wise it's been brilliant. But look, it's a 38-game season. There'll be many games this season where we don't play well and we nick a 1-0 win away from home and we get a penalty and pinch it up with death when we're not playing well. So there's a massive long way to go. I think, for me, I've said it millions of times, I would give Eddie Howe a 10-year contract and just keep him for as long as he wants, because... Again, we'll have faults and we will have bad performances this season. It's impossible not to, but it's just the team we have right now. We can be so proud of them, and I know that's kind of not a big club mentality or an elite club mentality, but I think it takes time to get there. Liverpool, brilliant in terms of how they got a result out of that, is unbelievable, and they deserve a lot of credit. Actually, I know that won't go down well with Newcastle fans, but let's be honest, when you play that badly and win against a team who played so well. Fair play. I hope we get to that level at some point, but until then, we just have to enjoy the ride. And I mean, what a ride Monday night was!
Yeah, I still haven't calmed down, to be honest. My heart's still going 20 to a dozen. But over the first 2 games, I do completely agree with you on the performance side of things. But has there been a player in particular that has really impressed you? Kev, I'll start with you on this one.
It's not much of a surprise, but I wouldn't ever consider Tino Livramento as a right back ever again. He's so good at left back going forward. It's ridiculous. Surely, can't we just have Hall and Tino as left backs? Trippier and Kraft.
Both of them.
Trippier and Kraft as right back. And there's our depth. There it is. There it is. Tino was unbelievable at left back. Nobody can tell me that Tino at right back plays like that, because he doesn't. I've never seen him go forward the way he does.
Oh, I get that.
Right
I want Hall back in is the only problem.
Offensively, he was brilliant. And also, when he comes inside, he creates so much space on the wing. For me, it's a shame that he's coming inside from the left, because for me, Barnes has been my most disappointing player. And he can't beat the man. So if you get Gordon back on that left and Tino's coming inside and creating that space, you're flying. And honestly, I love Lewis Hall as well, but I just think we haven't got another real left back at the club now. Burns a solidified centre half. Can we just have them two? Tino's not that good at right back. He's fantastic at left back.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. And a question there, because Lewis Hall, not that long ago, would have probably been the first name on the team sheet behind Tonali. That turnip. Yes. Joe, I'll ask you the same question because Kev added something else on. I'll go for that as well. So, you answered my next question. Has there been a player that has impressed you, and has there been a player that you've been particularly disappointed in?
Yeah, I may as well go back to front on this, because I was going to agree with what Kev said about the disappointment, unfortunately. I'm not overly surprised either, which is a bit sad in a way. But that's why I was kind of calling for Gordon to be out left and Barnes to be in the middle, just to kind of give him something else to try almost, because for me, it wasn't working as much. And Gordon, is way more effective on the left than Barnes is. But going back to the positive side of it, because I'd rather talk about that. If we're looking over the two games, because if it was just over last night, I was going to say Bruno, because he was just immense. But if we're going to go over the two games, I don't think Bruno was immense against Villa. So I'm going to go Burn, because I think Burn's just been solid in both games. It's not that he's been, like I say, Bruno immense last night type of thing, but in terms of over the two games, Burn's my man, definitely.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree, to be honest. When you think about it, Dan Burn isn't really the first name on the team sheet. He's probably, you're sitting there and going, centre-back, 33 years old, hasn't really got any pace. And then you see him play, and everything that comes towards the Newcastle box, it's just bam, straight out. And it's incredible to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Sven Botman or Malik Chow displace Dan Burn this season. I definitely agree. To be honest, both counts. Tino and Dan Burn for two of the best, and Harvey Barnes, unfortunately, for one of the worst. And after saying he would have a fantastic pre-season and kick on and start the season well, I just keep saying more and more things that make me sound like an idiot. So, on to my next point. In a week's time, the transfer window will be officially closed. If we could only bring in one more player, and it has to be realistic, no Lionel Messi or Kylian Mbappe's, who would you like to see join the club? Kev, I'll go for you first again.
Strike is an obvious position, and I said towards the back end of last season I wanted Alanga and Wissa. I've kind of changed my mind about Wissa. I think even though he is now back in training, I'm still not sure on that personality and that kind of character there. So I'm going to change my mind to someone like Vlahovic. I think he's been in and out at Juventus. He hasn't quite been as prolific as he was at Fiorentina, but at Fiorentina was fantastic. I think somebody like him, he's got the physicality. I think he's something like 6'4". He's got a little bit of pace. He's a deadly finisher. I think someone like him under Eddie Howe, I think he's available for something like 28 million. I think Juventus are trying to offload him. So I think if you get him for 28 and he comes in and he's the player he was at Fiorentina, and I think his second season at Juventus, and look, we've seen how work miracles. There's not a miracle needed here. It's just a little bit of fine tweaking. And I think for that 28 million price, 25 years old, he's the perfect fit for us. So for me, I'd go Vlahovic. I think it would be exciting. He's a bit of a name as well, which is nice for us to kind of have that big number 9. He suits Newcastle's kind of traditional number 9 role as well, and obviously he's a striker. If I was being greedy, I would love 2 strikers and maybe get like a Strand Larson, and them two can compete with each other. But if I had to pick one, which the question was, I go Vlahovic. Better value for money.
Fair enough. And to be honest, mine would have been Strand Larson. Even at 60 million, I think he's so
He's a good
good.
player. I just think if you imagine having Vlahovic and him, who are similar styles, not much
6'4"
adaptation
both
needed
of them.
when in and out, I think it'd be brilliant. But hey, I don't work for Newcastle, unfortunately, unless someone wants to hit us up and offer us lots of money.
Yeah, we're all
I do
on
for free at the
LinkedIn.
minute. We just want to help.
Anyways, Joe, we've had Vlahovic, we've had Strand Larson. Any you would like to add?
Look, I back up what you guys were saying about Visser because it's just what's happened with him, isn't it? And we've said before, we're not going to be hypocrites about the whole situation, but at the same time, if we sign him, I'm not going to not support the guy either. So, got to work on that one as well. But Larson was going to be my pick. However, what you've just said, to have both of those guys in, especially if we get him for 28 million, that's just unreal. Because I had heard about 28, 30 million for him. So if we could do that and get the likes of Larson in, and you're right, Michael, by the way, give them 60 if that's what they want. No 60 million for Visser, by the way. I think Brentford are absolutely going way over the top on that. That's ridiculous. A guy with 1 year left on his contract at his age as well. Like, you can't be demanding 60 million. So I think Visser's going to end up, if they're going to dig their heels in anyway, he'll end up stuck at Brentford anyway. But yeah, I'd stick with Larson. In fact, no, sorry, I want both. Let's be greedy. We're getting both. Isak will leave. Everyone will be so happy this time next week. It's going to be amazing.
I have a third
My
option.
question then.
I have a third option.
Okay.
Go on then.
Ivan Toney,
No.
homegrown, back to the Prem, lots of goals for Brentford, great penalty taker, pretty much replaces Isak like for like, strong, powerful. Toney, I think he is. He might not be the right character, but again, I mean, Isak wasn't the right character. He just hit it well. So
True.
Tony's honest. At least Tony's honest about going for the money, and I think he could work. So yeah, Vlahovic number 1, Larson number 2,
It's definitely
and
worse.
then Toney is
Definitely
a desperation. If we can't get out of them, get Toney in, because we need somebody with Prem experience at the end of the day as well.
I reckon we get Jackson then, because nobody's mentioned him.
Nah, he's went to Bayern Munich, and I was going to say Jackson, but he's went to Bayern.
That's the end of today's pod.
Only joking.
We're talking to Lulu.
Messing. Just one reaction there.
You definitely got one. So, speaking of reactions, I'm going to try and get one off the people on social media by asking you both this question and posting it live on the socials, or at least James will.
Thanks, James.
That's your cue. Yeah, thanks, James. So, everyone has said that Liverpool won't go in for Alexander Isak until the match between the two sides is finished. So, now it's done. And I want you both to say this on the count of 3 after I say the question, so I'll count it down. Does Alexander Isak leave Newcastle United this week? 3, 2, 1.
No.
Way!
Unfortunately.
Do we want him to leave? 3, 2, 1. Yes. No, we do. Screw him. Get rid.
I think it's so tough, isn't it? Because it's like when you break up with a missus, isn't it? It's like you kind of
want her back.
I just want her back. She's got so many goals. It's difficult because look, he could come back, he could bang goals in, and I mean, let's be honest, we're very fickle. All football fans are. We probably forget about it pretty quick and say it was a big mistake, and we've accepted him back with open arms. However, for me, I've said it very briefly. I'll keep it brief as well because we're going over time. But it's unforgivable to not play and refuse to play. I think Michael Owen's not very well liked from Newcastle fans, but he ran his contract down, and everyone talks about that last game at Villa, but he was on the bench or whatever. So look, Owen didn't do as bad as what Isak's done, and he's very disliked. Kabai at one point put a transfer request in, but kind of rescued it again. So look, it's doable to come back, but for me, it's unforgivable to not play for a club who pretty much turned you into the superstar you are. So, he's disrespected Eddie Howe. So whatever Eddie does, I'll go with.
That's true. If Eddie doesn't want him, then neither do I.
Yeah. If Eddie wants him
I
back,
don't think he wants him
back.
But good stuff. Join us tomorrow as Ian and I will go through our dream Champions League fixtures, and that won't be including Celtic after they've just lost to the Kazakhstani champions.
You took mine in since I won't be on. Very briefly, in 3 seconds. Porto, PSV, Barcelona. The rest of them can do one. Why do I want them 3? Does anybody know?
Desperate for Barca.
Barcelona, Tino.
What links all them players? What links?
Bobby Robson.
Bobby Robson, good lad, good answer.
Yeah.
That's why I want them. Bobby Robson, Derbies.
Fair enough. So, Joe, tell you what, give us your 3 as well. 3, why not?
No, I hadn't prepped for 3, but I'm all in for Barcelona, and it specifically has to be Barcelona at home. That's literally the only thing I'm clinging on to. I don't care about the rest, genuinely.
Yeah. Well, that's good enough for me. Hopefully we don't do any trips to Ukraine, Israel, or Kiev, Kiev is in Ukraine. I meant Kazakhstan. But anywhere where the lads probably aren't going to have the best experience, because no one wants to do that before the derby, which one of the Champions League games will be before. So, that's all from us. Me and Ian will be giving our thoughts, and you've probably just got a grasp of mine there. So for more controversial takes, I'll see you tomorrow.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.